Guys, I lied. I didn't actually lie, but it sounds better for clickbait that way. I misguidingly spoke, apparently, when I made my video when I stage 1 tuned this car. So for a little backstory, this is my 2004 PT Cruiser GT. It is an SRT4 motor and turbo, and it has a Mopar Stage 1 PCM, so Mopar Stage 1 tune basically, because it has an intake and exhaust. The boost numbers that I was quoting that I was getting in the video that I made on that apparently were a little bit lower than normal. According to what some of you guys were saying, I don't know any of this for sure. I don't know for sure what kind of boost numbers or horsepower numbers Stage 1 is supposed to make, but I have a basic idea in my head. Basically, if you've seen some of my past uploads, something I was unaware of for a long time was that this car had multiple different boost leaks going on that were actually causing this car to drop boosts more than it should, and this has all been just a giant learning process for me because I didn't know what kind of numbers to look for anything when we were getting this car fixed up. It turns out that I had multiple different boost leaks, and in this episode we're going to kind of update you guys on that and show you guys some of the shenanigans that have been going on recently with me just trying to see what I can do to tighten things up a little bit. The honest truth is I need a new charge pipe and a whole new intake manifold to really seal this car up, as well as a new throttle body gasket, and we will be getting all of that as soon as possible. I think at this point when I'm filming this clip I have the whole intake manifold thing figured out, but I'll be talking about that throughout the video. But we fixed a couple things with the intake manifold. We did a sketchy trick to fix my charge pipe that actually worked, kind of, but that was fun, so it's in this video. And also we finally figured out the PCV valve thing because my PCV valve was leaking boost as well, and we're getting it figured out slowly, but I had to put together a little compilation of the boost leak stuff that's been going on recently with this car. So without further ado, let's get into this one. Alright guys, it's time for a little bit of a PTGT boost leak update. Haven't done a boost leak check in a while, and that was partly just because the clamp that I had on my little homemade boost leak checker broke. I ended up finding this exhaust clamp and it actually fit perfectly, so that keeps it nice and snug on there while we do the test. Basically all this is a little like rubber PVC fitting. I forgot how big it is, but I got a little plug for the end and put it in and drilled a hole and put a little Schrader valve for like a tire in it. And then I got my compressor hooked up to it, and I'm able to put like 18-20 pounds through the system, and I'm able to look around for boost leaks by like spraying soapy water, different areas, or listening for them or feeling for them. And I found two major boost leaks that we still have. One of them I already knew about, which was here on our charge pipe. This pipe has seen better days, and I want to get a whole custom one done for this. What I wondered about was the intake manifold, because there are cracks in it. There's a crack right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's like right along here. It's hard to get a good angle. There you go. You can kind of see it now. There's a small crack there. And there is a crack here as well. This crack was leaking quite a bit though, and I had suspected that, so now we know. I also found that a couple of the couplers were actually leaking a bit, and the one under here I think was leaking. I couldn't get it to like bubble or anything, but I think it was leaking a little bit too, the one that goes off the turbo. And of course Chrysler used these cheap little worm drive clamps on all of the charge piping because they didn't expect us to up the boost. So I really need to, like, what would be ideal is to upgrade literally everything, but that would be a big process, and you know, we'll do that in steps. But main thing is this needs to be replaced, and I want to get a second generation GT intake manifold because they flowed better and they were just a good upgrade over these aluminum ones. And I didn't want to get one because I like the look of the aluminum better, but now that that crack is leaking pretty bad, I know it needs to happen, so I got to find one. Everything else seemed to be okay, and something I did differently for this boost leak test is I unplugged both of the PCV valves and plugged them. So this is a vent that goes to the valve cover, and then this is our little PCV valve. Now this I actually replaced not long ago because I noticed that there was a lot of air flowing through it, and I didn't think that was how it was supposed to be, so I did replace it. But what's weird is normally the GTs had like the quarter turn ones that went in, but this one threads in just like any other fitting, and it seems like that's still not holding air, even a brand new one. It's almost like it has an NA PT Cruiser fitting in on the GT. It's really weird. I don't understand why it's this style of one, and I don't think it's holding up to the boost. So I'm not sure. I might have to upgrade that or do something completely different, like put a fitting in there and run line and then put like a custom race car PCV valve in it. We'll have to wait and see on that. But for now, since I did tighten up the clamps and I think I figured things out a little bit better, let's take it out for a little spin and see if we at least notice any bit of an improvement from just that. Whoops. Yep. We're still losing a lot of boost. Alright guys, we're gonna attempt something pretty sketchy. So I was at Tractor Supply today, and I actually found this little 2-inch pipe fitting connector thing, like PVC pipe and stuff. And I also found this little threaded connector here that's 2-inch. So not only does this fit on the throttle body, but this fits tightly inside this and inside our charge pipe. The issue with our charge pipe right now, as you can see, it has a crack right here and in a couple other places, and it's just in bad shape on the end. And I used like a silicone kind of stuff, that's what this gray stuff is, to try to like seal it back up, but it obviously didn't do anything. So what I am gonna try to do right now is actually cut the end off of this charge pipe, put this threaded piece inside it and clamp that, and then clamp this on the other end and onto the throttle body. There's enough play in our pipe that I think we'll be able to make it work. It will be a very temporary solution obviously, but I'm just curious to see if it'll work and hold boost. Probably not, but it might be better than our current situation. I ain't gonna lie, boys. I'm proud of that. So I got the intake manifold off, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how this crack is leaking, and I can't really tell where the leak is coming from, like where it meets the inside of the intake manifold. But if you look really closely over here, there's a tiny, like, almost looks like it could be a crack line. Let's see if it'll focus on it. I don't think you're gonna be able to see it on camera, maybe ever so slightly, but you're not gonna know unless you can really see. But I don't really know. I'm gonna just coat everything with some JB Weld and just let it cure and see what happens, I guess. But while we're at it, I'm also going to check the spark plugs and check the gap on them. Just going to use my finger to do this. Went ahead and pulled the plugs out real quick, and I just realized that these are old like Bosch Platinums that I threw in the car back when I didn't know what I was doing. I think anyways, I put these in. I don't remember honestly anymore, but it has Bosch Platinums in it, which is not an ideal plug for this situation. I really want iridiums in it. I checked the gap on them all, and the gap has pulled down, but 2 and 4, the tip has actually worn. You can kind of see there, the tip has actually worn more than the others, and the gap was crazy big on them, like 0.07 or more. So definitely could use new plugs in this thing, that's for sure. They're in a decent heat range as far as I can tell. I might be wrong, but they don't look bad, so that's a good thing. Any little bit of oil is just because I think the valve cover gasket's seeping a tiny bit and I need to throw a new one in. Later. Alright guys, I think I finally solved the mystery of the PCV valve for the PTGT. So essentially this is the one that I took out of the car earlier. You can see it's a fully plastic little valve that has threaded ends. That's what screws into the valve cover, and that's the confusing part right there, because when you look up PCV valves for this car, it shows for the turbo this style, which is like a quarter turn little pop-in style PCV valve, but then for the NA cars it shows these just like this one with the threaded end. It's really confusing because mine's a GT but it has a threaded end, so I assume that this was like what was meant to go in there, or that they were the same, but just like I don't know, certain years were different and weird. But this one's leaking too, and it's new, and I believe that is just because this is for the NA PT Cruiser. And I did some more research and I found that they actually did make this style, which has the threaded end and everything, but it's actually metal construction, and then it has the 90-degree turn on the end, and it says for the turbo. Finally figured it out, and this one should actually hold boost. It never had the proper one in it because the old one was the same exact style. So I went ahead and got one on order, but I'm just glad that we finally got this figured out. I was thinking that I was gonna have to run some sort of aftermarket like race application, heavy duty check valve, and just somehow adapt up a fitting so that I could just put the hose directly on the valve cover. And I was gonna have to do a whole custom setup, but thankfully this way I will be able to screw a normal one right in there and just run the same hose. Hopefully anyways, hopefully this one will hold some boost and it won't leak like this one. We shall see, but I'm just glad we finally got this figured out. The next day. JB Weld has cured nicely on the intake manifold. It also gave me time to pick up these Autolite full iridium spark plugs for the car. I've had decent luck with Autolite stuff, and these were the best iridiums that I could get locally, so I decided to go for it. I really wanted to try iridiums in this car. Probably not really gonna notice a huge difference, but a lot more solid of a plug for a turbo car if it's going through much abuse. A lot of people like to say 0.035 is a good gap for like a stage 1 tuned-esque kind of thing with the SRT4s. But a lot of people said you should keep it at stock gap unless you're really pushing boost, but seems like a happy middle ground is about 0.04. I don't want to gap them too cold or anything like that. So turns out these are actually already gapped to 0.04 right out of the box. I checked them all. So I'm just gonna roll with that. That should be enough. The most boost we're ever gonna push is 18 pounds, and from all the research that I did, it's probably gonna be perfect. So have a spark plug debate down below. Go for it, but that's what I'm just gonna go for because I feel like it's best from the knowledge that I have, which isn't a ton, but it's something. New spark plugs are in. I threw the intake manifold back on. I got a freshly oiled filter on there. So we're good to go and give this thing a test run. I'm really curious to see if these hold up. So I didn't catch it on camera, but the car just started revving really high up to like 3,000 plus RPM. I knew exactly what it was immediately. This bolt I think is stripped that I put in here, and I think I need a heavier grade bolt or something. You can see the bubbling coming from the throttle body. This bolt is just not enough. That was stripped before, and I put a new bolt in it just when we put it in, but it's not enough, so we gotta do something about that now. All right, so one last time, I went ahead and took the throttle body off of the intake manifold. I checked the gasket. So I cleaned it up, filed it down like literally the best I could. I made sure it was perfect this time, put it all back together, torqued everything down, and it is still leaking a tiny bit when I pressure checked it under full boost. Very, very little. Nevertheless, it's still a leak, and I really just need the whole new intake manifold ASAP because of that. I don't want that to get worse, although I kind of doubt that it will because it is a metal gasket. It's not like it's going to deteriorate, but we got to figure that out ASAP. Casually sitting here on the side of the road. I haven't done this very many times in the PTGT. This car has been way too good to me. But my little boost leak fix for my intercooler pipe, or my charge pipe, actually blew off. And I noticed that it was starting to separate earlier. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be real careful about getting in the boost because I don't want it to blow up. But it did. I was pulling out of our little weekly meet here at the Charco Corral, little cruise night, little car show, just hanging out with the boys. And when I was pulling out, I got in the boost a little bit. I was like, I'm just gonna, a little bit for the boys, you know? And sure enough, I heard a pop and I had no boost anymore. So yeah, that was fun. But here comes my boy Jim. He's apparently got a screwdriver, so I can at least tighten this clamp on and get home without having to, like, you know, have it completely off. My man, thank you so much for rescuing me, sir.
Me to the rescue.
Hell yeah.
Jimmy's rescuing
Jim's always rescue Jims. Yeah, you can see here, epic fail. Thankfully it's still secure down below, so all we gotta do is slide that in. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Just a hose pop. Yeah, I had a video of it.
Right.
Yeah, just a hose popped off. Thank you.
Thanks.
She said it looks good though. That's funny. We used a dime and a pick to tighten it down, so no more boost for me. So after that little unfortunate experience with my intercooler piping popping off, I came home, tightened the clamp down, and I've driven the car some since then, gotten into boost some, and it's been good, but it just now started to separate again actually. So I'm glad I checked it, but it also works out because it's been about a week since I filmed the beginning of this video, and I now have our new PCV valve. Just came in the mail today, so we're gonna go ahead and throw that in. Well, now you guys can see here in the flesh how this is like a different material at the bottom. I thought it was metal, but it doesn't seem to be. It's like, I think some sort of plastic composite still, but just like a different kind of it, but you can kind of see the difference now. So hopefully this will do the trick. I might actually have to trim our hose too, because it looks like that is for an NA car, but I'm not sure. Somebody really messed around with this one before though. Well, I'll go ahead and do that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten our clamp up here. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about that to make sure it stays together better for the time being, but for now, just for testing purposes, we're gonna tighten that up, get this valve in, and let's see if it makes any difference. This PCV valve is like basically brand new, so I have a spare one for an NA. In with the new. Actually, didn't have to cut the hose. It ended up working out all right. Got her all in there and installed. Went ahead and tightened that back up real quick. So let's just not waste any time and take this thing out for a spin. See what happens. Dude, when the intercooler piping's disconnected, this thing sounds hilarious. Listen. Whoops. Ricer problems require very ricer solutions. Me and my friend Jim were brainstorming when the intercooler piping first popped off about how we could like maybe tack weld or like use a coat hanger and tack weld it or do something to form a ridge around the outside of this little connector so that it would hold in place better, because as you can see there's a small ridge on the throttle body and that's why that is not sliding off at all. It's only the connector and these threads are not enough for the piping to grip onto, and that's why it was blowing apart when we get into boost. So what I ended up doing is I had this stuff right here. It's JB weld, but it's quick weld. I went ahead and ran a bead all around the outside of both ends, and you can kind of see I ran the metal file over it just to kind of clean up the edge a little bit. It's still not pretty, but it's even enough that I don't think it's gonna like cause any leaks or anything, and it's pretty tough stuff, so I think it's gonna be perfect and hopefully hold this pipe on and keep it from sliding off. It still slides on and off even with this ridge. I already double checked that. I'm just curious to see if it keeps it on now. You guys can see for yourself, it still slides on over. That's gonna be perfect. Got our charge pipe reconnected, all of our clamps tightened and everything. So we'll go ahead and take this out for a test run. Also, I would like to note, I got this double-sided adhesive tape kind of stuff from Harbor Freight. The double-sided tape that I used before was just wearing thin. It was cheaper stuff. It wasn't like 3M or anything. So I tried this, I ran a whole bead down the side and it worked for a couple days, but today I come out and it was literally just laying on the ground. So thankfully it fell off here and not on the road. I've actually had that happen before and that really sucks because then, you know, you have to get a new piece of trim. Thankfully I have a few spare ones now, and I might do something different with the trim in the future. I'll still be keeping the trim, but just doing something different with it. I know a lot of people were like, aren't you gonna delete the trim or get rid of it or do something along those lines? But I honestly really like the look of it. I think it completes and kind of ties everything together, and I think it's just a really cool touch that they added onto these cars. I don't know, I just think it adds something really nice to the car, so I'm always gonna be keeping them on this. All right guys, we gotta try one last thing. So I actually went ahead and took the liberty of pulling the throttle body off one more time and coating the gasket with some RTV gasket maker and then putting it back together. I also got some heavier grade bolts because the other ones were just snapping off for some reason. Went ahead and put them in and tightened everything down again, let it fully cure. I'm gonna see if that's enough to seal up our little gasket leak there. Ultimately, when we replace the intake manifold, I will be getting a new gasket for that as well. I need to order one or something online because they're way cheaper there and you can actually find them. No place around here, no place local has them for some reason. Nevertheless, I think mine definitely needs to be replaced, and when we do the intake manifold, of course that will be taken care of. We'll be doing all the gaskets. The latest update on actually getting a new intake manifold is I've been searching, and a lot of you guys actually hit me up when I posted on my Instagram about I was looking for a second generation GT intake manifold for this, and a lot of you guys actually had aluminum ones laying around, but nobody had a second gen one for sale or that they were willing to pass on or whatever. So I know a lot of you guys got my back as far as if I need a new aluminum one. I could easily get one from one of you guys that hit me up, but I'm just being really fussy because I've always wanted to put a second gen manifold on this, but it's just a matter of finding the right one. And that brings me to the next thing is, I know a lot of you guys are probably gonna be like, why don't you just go buy one off of like eBay or somewhere like that? For one thing, they are still harder to find there and they're more expensive, and the reason why I don't want to get like a really nice expensive one off of eBay or something, I'd rather get an old one that someone is just trying to get rid of, is because I actually have an idea of something really cool custom that I want to do to it. I just hate to take a really nice one and an expensive one and just cut it all up and start hitting it with the grinder. But you know, worst case scenario, I will just go ahead and order one probably off of eBay here soon, or try to get one like that somewhere. We shall see, but either way, you guys have been really helpful. I appreciate all you that hit me up, and if anybody does have one laying around, let me know. But probably by the time this video is going up, I'll already have that figured out anyways. Alright, we got some weird going on here. The boost gauge isn't working. It's getting up to boost and then it's just cutting out. Whoopsies. Forgot to put that back on. Of course, that's something that I would forget. We definitely got some stuff to iron out still. We definitely got some boost leaking from somewhere, and I don't even know. We got a lot of stuff to iron out. My goal is over the next couple weeks to get every little thing figured out mechanically with this, do a few modifications that we've been waiting on for a while now, and then have the car running well enough that we can really do some cool stuff, film some cool stuff, and do some things I've always wanted to do for the rest of the summer with it. Because, you know, it's the end of July, so there's only so much summer left around here, and then winter's gonna come, which is gonna bring a whole new bunch of fun stuff for the channel. But in the meantime, this is the main focus. Just be sure to stay tuned, that's all I can say. But for now, already just what we did in this episode, this car is hauling. Like, cameras will never do it justice, but this thing is a lot quicker. It pulls when it finally gets in the boost and it catches, and it's making like 15 to 18 pounds. It's hauling, man. This car is fun, and I cannot wait until it's making its full potential. It hasn't for a long time, and it's needed to, and this has just been a long time coming. So there you have it, boys. There's the latest on the boost leak struggle. We kind of figured out some stuff, and we got some stuff fixed, tightened some stuff down, figured out our PCV, and we got our intake manifold tightened up, but we really just need a whole new one. And that throttle body gasket thing is just, it's not gonna hold up. We still got some tightening up to do, but this car is almost making its full potential of boost, and it is cooking and booking when you get into full boost, let me tell you what. That's gonna do it for this episode. The next episode, we actually are installing a mod that I am super excited about. Actually, when I'm filming this clip, we already have it installed, and it is amazing. You guys gotta be sure to stay tuned. I'll give you a hint. It was in this box right here. Try to guess down below what we're gonna be installing in the next video, but without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching this quick little video. You guys rock. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Comment down below if you have any questions or whatever you wanna say. Just throw it down below. God bless you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.